and then specifically on Peshawar, because we want to sort of drill deep in the evidence. But you're welcome to ask general questions, I think, because the sort of operation that happened in Peshawar is indicative of what happened in Islamabad, what happened in Lahore, what happened in Karachi, and what happened across Punjab. Did happen across the rest of KP. But I think it will give you a sense of what actually transpired in these elections. In many seats, it was not rigging. It was just the falsification of results. And here, at least in KP, I can talk through both our own experience. You have one Shahab from PK 75, Mahmood Jan from PK 72, my seat, Taimur Jagra is PK 79, Kamran's is PK 82, and Ali Zaman's is PK 73. All of us we were 5 of 9 candidates from Peshawar who were made to lose their seats while having some of the biggest leads in the province. And when you do that, you can't not leave an evidence trail behind. So these are the 18 seats. Again, I'm sorry you won't be able to see it. I will send this immediately afterwards. 13 provincial assembly seats, 5 national assembly seats, and in reality PTI won all of them. And the minimum margin on any of these seats was a 1.5x margin. Means that the winning candidate got 50% more votes than the second placed candidate. The maximum margins were Kamran's 4.9x, from which position he lost, and mine 4.8x, which are the 2 largest margins in the entire province, possibly in the country. I don't know, I haven't looked at all the data. And to lose from that becomes a joke, and hence why it becomes very, very difficult to cover this up. So, just to focus on these 9 seats where the results were altered. Mahmood Jan got 31% of the vote, won by 7,000 votes. 18,500 versus 11,000. That was overturned. Ali Zaman, who's a first-time candidate with no background in politics, he's a lawyer, won 21,939 to 14,754. Again, a 1.5x margin, overturned with the third placed candidate? Yeah. Okay. I think we're almost there. Then we have Arbab Jandar on the next seat who won 24,000 to 9,000. 2.5x margin, overturned. Malik Shahab won 26,000 to 11,000, 2.5x, overturned. Asim won 19,700 to 7,800, overturned. My seat, I got 63% of the total vote poll, 25,000 out of 38,000 vote poll, 25,102 versus 5,188, followed by 2,200, followed by 2,100, followed by 1,609. The candidate with 1,609 votes has been declared the winner. He is also, it seems, a missing person and has been labelled an Afghan, which I refuse to do because Nadra gave him an ID card. So I'm sure in their wisdom they thought he was a Pakistani citizen. But that gentleman from PMLN has won the election. Kamran polled the most votes of all of us, 30,309. Second placed candidate got 6,000 votes. The 7th placed candidate with 3,996 votes was declared the winner. Hamidul Haq, 22,300 to 6,500, also lost. And Sajid Nawaz, our MNA, this is a very funny case because some of you will know his opponent, Nur Alam Khan, our ex-MNA. Nur Alam Khan lost a seat, 38,000 to 66,000. What they literally did was put a 1 next to the 38, giving him 138,000 votes and declaring him the winner. I have heard that he's upset about this result because again it decreases the likelihood and is wishing that they had made him win by 5 to 10,000 votes so that it was somehow defendable. Now, what does that do? Arsalan, can we show that on screen or not? What does that do? What that does is that starts to play with turnouts, because all of this was done in 2 or 3 hours with a lot of pressure. So, for example, the turnout in Nur Alam Khan's constituency is the highest in KP on NACs. The average turnout is 35% or so. Nur Alam Khan's turnout is 62%. Now, in their panic, what they did was, because remember, every candidate polls 2 votes, right? So, the count between the National Assembly votes and the Provincial Assembly votes on a single constituency cannot be different. Even if I take a few votes in my pocket, right? If I take 2 slips and take one out and no one puts it in, that slip is then counted in the Form 45 as a missing ballot. So the gross count of votes that is actually given, there can be no change in that. The 2 provincial assembly constituencies under Nur Alam Khan, Mahmood Jan's and Ali Zaman's, which comprise 90% of the polling stations for Nur Alam Khan's NACs, have turnouts of 39%, official, I'm talking of the official turnouts, of 39% and 37%. So it is a literal impossibility for almost twice the number of votes to be polled on the same polling stations on the National Assembly seat versus the 2 provincial assembly seats. What they did in their panic, remember I said these were the most amateurly rigged elections. What they did in their panic was they did increase the votes on 2 constituencies, but they were on Shahab's seat and on PK 74 Arbab Jandad's seat. They also pushed up their polling to 64% by making the candidates win by huge margins. But they're not under the same NA. So now they've created 2 NA seats where this singular piece of evidence is enough to basically prove the rigging. So there you have it. Now we can finally see the screen.
I have it. Aslan has a different.
Haji. Okay. So you look at NA28, the turnout is 62%. You look at PK72, 37% and 39%. NA29 is the adjoining NA. And so it looks very clearly that in their panic, they decided that since we've given Nur Alam Khan 100,000 extra votes, we have to balance it by giving 2 provincial candidates similar large victories. So they did that on PK 74 and 75. But that was the wrong NA. Right? So this can't be hidden. When it goes to the courts, it will be found. With Shahab, because his constituency, PK 75, is my ancestral constituency where I cast my own vote, we actually tallied the Form 45s that we have with the Form 45s that the returned NA candidate has. And there was 100% consonance in the number of votes polled at each polling station. As I said, the count does not change by a single one, right? As I said, because if someone wastes a vote and takes it out, it's then registered there as a ballot that was taken off but not cast. And then you start to create other anomalies. So Karamatullah, the former speaker of the KP Assembly, was made to win from Mahmood Jan. Karamatullah was standing on PK 72 and on the NA, on Nur Alam's NA. PK 72 is about 40% of the entire NA. So Karamat supposedly got 18,527 votes on the provincial seat, but the same people that voted for him in the province didn't vote for him on the National Assembly. Again, that's very, very difficult to actually see, right? So there's all these gaping holes, and because the margins are so big, the real Form 45s exist not just with us, most of us, our opponents have given us affidavits. These exist in the police stations. One copy is given to the police not by law but by precedent. So they exist in the police stations. They exist with each of the presiding officers. So for example, now when they've published the results, on these 9 seats, something like 2,000 odd teachers will have to lie about forged Form 45s, which is not going to happen. Because we saw in all of these seats, PTI won over 90% of polling stations. And if they won 90% of polling stations, they will have to forge every one of the forms. We'll just go ahead. Let me just show you what the Election Commission did on my seat. Aslan, can you go to the Google Drive? And I suggest we play a game. By mistake, the Election Commission uploaded their version of the Form 45 on, we'll have to connect to the internet. I hope we can. They uploaded their version of the Forms 45 on their website the night before last for 2 or 3 hours. And despite Twitter only being available on VPN, I think Pakistan's quite a hot VPN market right now. There's enough conscientious citizens who are availing VPN services, including our Prime Minister, our IT Minister, and all our ministries, that they alerted my attention on my Twitter account to say, your Forms 45 are online and they seem to be tampered. Right. So we both took a video of the Election Commission website. And Aslan, if it's not available on the website, if this is on your laptop, then maybe you can just get the offline folder and we can see it off there. Okay. Can you take the real forms, please, first? Real ones. Pick any form. Pick any form. Each one represents one polling station. And by the way, just any one. Just pick one randomly. Zoom in. Rotate and zoom in. Zoom in to my result. So coincidentally, the person they made win. Zoom in a bit more. So I'm at number 4. I got 423 votes. The number Jalal, who they made win, got 69 votes. Right? Just go to the bottom so that you can see the sign on the. This is from our record. Okay. Just Salat, close this and open another one. Anyone. Zoom in again to the result. 317.33. Go and show the also thumb impression, so forensically identifiable that the actual presiding officers have signed on it. This is supposed to be done, it's not done on 100% of polling stations, but we tried our best. Aslan, open any other one. I won all polling stations bar 3, and I won all polling stations from the returned candidate. Right? Open any other one. And every polling station, I mean, obviously, if I won the seat, or I claim I won the seat 25,000 to 5,000, you'll see these sort of results. So this one is 355 to 9. Right? Should we go to the tampered ones that were on the Election Commission website? Just so that you can see that. You're on the tampered ones?
Yeah.
Again, just pick randomly. Zoom in.
The same form that we just.
Zoom in. Zoom in, please. Can you see the change? Can you see what's being changed? Number 4 and 5. What this guy was slightly smarter than Noor Alam Zaro, who just kept on adding vote. He took the vote that I got and divided it between me and the winning candidate. So you can zoom in some more, because on many of them you can actually see, you can see the fluid you can see the number behind. Open any other one. Because the margin was so big that they had to change. You can see the original as well. So in the original result, I got 172 and he got 0. And they have changed it to 102 and 70. Kept the count the same, right? So in my case, I don't have a difference in overall votes cast. But again, if you zoom in on any of these forms, this one I got 849 and he got 45 and they changed it to 568 and 388. I mean, this is the most atrocious, absurd and amateur way of trying to rig an election that I've seen, because multiple copies of these forms exist all over. Go back to that table. Of course, 2 hours after they uploaded these, they deleted them as well. And this actually proves why the government is not coming forth with the official record, because in the short time that they had to actually change the results, this is all they could do. And I'm pretty sure that whether you look at the Islamabad results, whether you look at, for example, something like Salman Raja's result, you will see in many places exactly this. Because if you have to change the result on, say, 10 polling stations out of 200, you can get 10 people, you can convince 10 people to say, we change the result, sign a form, apply some pressure. But here they have to change the result on 63 out of 66. You can, this is the original, and open the copy. I mean, I challenge you to open this folder and check for yourself. Here you go. Beautiful. It's a work of art. Right. What's fascinating is that this does not convince the election commission. You can see the 7 behind. Right. I'm leaving one copy here that you can see. This copy also has 3 printouts, but I think a lot of you, since you're tech savvy, can probably just open the Google Drive folder and look at all of this yourself, if you want to. So that's literally what's happened. And so in the aftermath, when we act, here's another very fascinating piece of evidence. I'll pass around, and then we can take questions. 72. Hold on. 73. So we obviously challenge the results. 74. We challenged the results, and we first got sent to the same returning officers who had falsified our results. And they were meant to hear us. And the one day that they were actually in their office was for their hearing. I actually managed to get mine recorded. It's on social media, if any of you have seen it, with translations. So we basically made this case to say the results are false, and we suggested gently maybe you miscounted the results and can correct that miscalculation. We also said we weren't present in the room. In my case, the RO of course agreed, at least on video, that they weren't present in the room. He said that it wasn't his decision, that there was security over there, and it was a security's decision. Interestingly, then they all wrote orders that said our claims carry no evidence. I mean, just look at this, but our claims carry no evidence, and therefore our petitions are dismissed. We went to the High Court. The High Court took us back to the ECP. The ECP was meant to hear the Form 45s, meant to compare the Form 45s today. They did. So honestly speaking, I don't expect any relief from the ECP. I'll be pleasantly surprised. if that happens. But here are 5 RO decisions on 5 constituencies. I'll just pass these on to Saeed, have a look, pass them around, and see if there's anything different. 5 ROs acting as 5 independent judges, writing 5 independent decisions. Even the paragraph indentation is the same. Please look at this and pass it on. Again, we can pass on. They've just changed the name, and if you look at the 3rd paragraph, where whoever's written this in brackets wrote returned and runner-up, and meant that you should write the name of the returned and runner-up candidates, many of them didn't even bother to actually insert that. So what this would actually imply is that there are elements in the Election Commission that are actually complicit in the rigging. You can all have a look, but
So are we done with the presentation?
we're done with the presentation. Yeah. So I think that's a sense of what happened. Open to questions. I think all the candidates are open to questions.
So,
Ji sir.
thank you. Jagda Sahab, we've seen the evidence since dates for after 8 February, and on the face of it, there's a heavy overcast over the entire process.
Yeah.
Question for you is that since your party controls Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, you're going to form the government there. How are you going to take your case forward politically? For example, I've heard from friends in GTI that very early on, maybe on the first day, there'll be a very strong resolution condemning the electoral process. What are your plans, political plans, if you can share some of those with us?
Thank you. I think we need to go further. While trying to give the entire system a chance to somehow heal, which is not easy, but I think if we, many of you who are representing the international press, but either Pakistani citizens or of a Pakistani background, if you think of the sort of elections where even after the sort of pre-poll rigging that happened, the votes in the ballot boxes are not counted, right? And one person sitting can just write whatever numbers he likes. I think the implications are so serious in the sense that this is the first time I'm seeing this happening at scale. Maybe on an odd seat in Balochistan or in Fatah, or, in these areas where there wasn't visibility, or in Karachi under MQM times. But I don't think it's happened in the mainstream parts of the country where results are falsified. If this was done institutionally, the next time ROs will know that they can open a market for winning candidates after 5 p.m. on election day. Who's to stop them? Because they're the judges in the process afterwards as well. So I would absolutely welcome a resolution. I think we need to go further. I think in KP there should be a judicial commission looking at rigging in KP. And I think civil officers who bowed down to pressure, whether that be a DC, we have many, I think the involvement in Peshawar of the Deputy Commissioner, the CCPO, the SSP operations of police, one particular ADC and these 9 ROs is pretty clear. As I said, just by the fact that the 2 most senior police officials and the DC, who happened to be the district returning officer, locked themselves up in this room when this counting happened, they've left themselves as witnesses, and today or tomorrow or day after will need to answer to court, right? They can't escape that. And so I think there needs to be a judicial commission on this to look at what happened. And I think Peshawar is the best example because it wasn't one seat that was overturned. Again, I'm talking within KP. It happened at large scale. And the same processes were followed, the same people were involved. And I think we'll find the answers very quickly.
Just a quick follow-up, please. Which is that you anticipate a complete deadlock between KB's